Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Not Big Time Talkers, the brand new podcast here that me and Tommy Haler are doing. We are not entertained.
Also known as Wayne.
Yes, Wayne.
Speaking of which, yesterday was National Batman Day, if you didn't know that. It was National Batman Day, if you didn't know that, so it kind of ties in. You know? It kind of ties in.
I guess.
Brock, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. This is the debut episode of this particular version, so if you are confused and you listen to BTT and you're like, whoa, why is there a separate wrestling podcast? Well, that is because we have made the executive decision that
Since, what? All Out?
All Out and Dark Side of the Ring has started, and there's just a lot of wrestling that we can't fit it into the normal podcast.
This past, month has just been whack. So it has been just... Actually, it kind of stems to August as well.
With just Punk debuting.
Lesnar returning, Becky returning.
Cena.
Cena.
July, so me going to Monday Night Raw.
Oh, that's right. You did. Fuck, I forgot you guys went to Raw.
Yeah, but I mean, would it be easy to say, Tommy, that in the past, I'll call it, since July, so 3 months?
I'll bet around that 3 month.
About 3 months.
2.5.
Okay, but around the last 3 months, this is the most wrestling we've watched since high school.
I would like to say this is the most modern wrestling that you have watched. Modern wrestling.
No, just wrestling in general.
Actually, yeah.
Especially what happened. So we're recording this on Sunday. This will be going up Monday when you're hearing this. So Saturday afternoon, I watched a live show.
How was that, by the way?
Pretty good, actually. There was one botched finish. The guy was trying to get the crowd hyped up, and
didn't work.
Well, he was in a body lock, so a body scissors, and he was smacking the mat to try and get everyone to clap for him. Yeah, that was a tap out. So he messed up on that one. At least I think it was a botch based off everyone's demeanor that was in the ring.
Oh, he wasn't supposed to tap?
Yeah, I think he was just trying to get the crowd behind him.
How fucking dumb are you to do that?
I'm pretty sure.
Just try to go for a rope break before you decide to get the crowd hyped.
Oh, well, I mean, it was decently into the match. But no, it was a pretty good show. Jeremy Wyatt, who's a longtime veteran of Kansas City professional wrestling, wrestled in Metro Pro, wrestled for the very brief National Wrestling League, and then he's now wrestling for Journey Pro. He's really good. He's really, really good. I remember watching him.
Is he a pure indie guy?
Yeah, he hasn't really gone anywhere else.
So he's just one of those guys that's just the indies, and that's it. Just the indies, and that's it.
Yeah, he's a journeyman. I mean, I remember watching Wyatt when I was still down south in South Kansas City on Metro Sports when they were doing Metro Pro at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. And that was in 2009, so I've known about Jeremy Wyatt for a long time. But yeah, no, I watched that Saturday, and that was fun.
Hey, at least you were entertained. Were you entertained?
I mean, when I was watching the matches, and I'm taller than all the guys wrestling. That kind of was unfortunate. But
did you at least enjoy it, though, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
My dad was with me, because it was for a function for his work. It was at a festival in Edwardsville.
That's just, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even going to
so one of the city councilmen that put the event together actually contacted Journey Pro to come in and do the event here, because they did an afternoon show that Saturday. The night before, they were at the ball fields in Edwardsville and had a show with 400 people there. So they had 400 people watch Friday night, and then probably about, I don't know, there was maybe 100 Saturday afternoon. So that's, 500 people in the course of 12 hours?
You were there early enough to see them, getting the ring set up or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I saw them get the ring set up and everything. It was cool.
Brock, we have a lot to talk about.
Well, yeah, I just talked about one of them.
We got a pretty decent amount of other things we got to talk about, too.
We got a review. We got predictions. We got a lot of stuff. Tommy,
Mostly the bulk of what we're going to talk about now
is the review of
Of the newest Dark Side of the Ring.
which, if In the Shadow of Grizzly Smith hadn't come out, this might have been the darkest. No.
You could flip. I honestly say you could have probably flipped those.
No. The Grizzly Smith one was way darker. Just the context of it.
Yeah, that one was just... I don't even want to talk about that one, if I'm being honest. I don't really want to talk about the Grizzly Smith one.
I actually enjoyed it just because we had never heard that story before.
That's true.
But
like, in the just review it, I don't really want to...
No,
Ugh.
I don't blame you. This week was the plane ride from hell.
Or this... It was the... Was it... Were we in Season 3?
Season 3 part 2.
Season 3, Part 2. It's a continuation of where Season 3 left off.
Yeah. So, let's start off with the plane ride from hell. Tommy, before we go in depth, any thoughts on this episode of Dark Side of the Ring?
I mean, there were certain things that they talked about during, like, about the plane ride from hell, about, like, certain people, like, you know, the Ric Flair going robe only during the flight. Which,
Yep.
Like, I knew about that, like, that dating back to the Nature Boy 30 for 30.
Yes, which at some point we need to review as well. Because that was... the U and Pony XS will always be my favorite 30 for 30s.
OJ Made in America was technically a 30 for 30.
Was that a 30 for 30?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes. So was The Last Dance. Technically.
Okay. Anyway. We're getting off track, but... Yeah, so I knew about the Flair one. I feel like you...
Like what... what Flair does... I think what you mean is like what Flair does during that kind of long plane ride where he just undresses, he's in his robe only, and then just goes, woo! If you
just
know what
exposing himself. I feel like we also knew about the Kurt, Mr. Perfect and Lesnar.
See, here's the funny thing. I actually knew that they were on the flight. I didn't know that they were, like, you know, chasing each other up and down. Because from what I thought they were just trying to see, you know, didn't Kurt Hennig used to be an amateur wrestler?
I do believe so.
See, from what I was reading and all that, I thought they were going to do, like, to see who was the better amateur wrestler and doing that. I didn't know that Kurt was trying to, you know, ribbing Lesnar by, you know, slapping.
I mean, we'll get more into it.
Slapping shaving cream on it, which, like,
whoa,
it's kind of a mistake.
Yeah, and then there obviously were a few other events that we didn't know about.
Yes.
That we'll get into later, but it opened up WWE, WWF at the time.
This was like
a day before.
This was like this was like the day before the now WWE got the F out because they tapped out to a panda.
Yeah. They tapped out to a panda, Tommy.
They tapped out to a fucking panda.
Yep.
A panda.
Yeah. But they were over in Europe for a European tour. They did somewhere in Germany.
I think they did Berlin.
Was it Berlin?
I think it was.
Okay. They were in Germany. Then they did a show in Scotland. And then they did their annual, like, they did their first European tour. Because usually they always do two. Yeah.
Like, they always did one sometime in the spring. Whenever that was, and then they would always do one around. Then they would always do one around the fall.
And this time they had a pay-per-view, UK only exclusive pay-per-view called Insurrection that they went and did. So that's where the story picks up. They introduced the players that were interviewed for this one. So it was those interviewed.
Well, there were certain the people that they interviewed. Certain ones were not on the card.
No, but I'm saying we then got introduced to who was our talking heads first said. So
like
we were
the
introduced
people that were actually willing to get interviewed in person.
So we were interviewed. So we had Jim Ross, good old JR. We had Tommy Dreamer, who we will circle back to because
we'll come back to him.
There was a lot from him. Rob Van Dam.
The whole damn show.
Yeah, which was weird to hear him say. PJ Polacco, a.k.a. Just Incredible. And then the final WWE representative was Mike Chioda, the former referee.
You forgot one.
No, I know. She came in.
Right, but she technically was part of the WWE.
Well, she wasn't part of the crew. Oh, okay. So I'm missing another one.
Yes, yes, she was because she was.
So we also had Terry Reynolds get introduced as well.
Because at this time she was just doing like backstage interviews.
I thought you were talking about the other woman that was involved here. But
she's the only non like wrestler.
So we had 6
or non like wrestling personnel or talent.
She was.
agent.
She wrestled at one point. Now she was a manager and a valet.
I'm not talking about Terry.
No, I know. But so those were the first 6 those were the 6 that we were introduced from WWE. And, you know, they gave us some good insight into what the European tour was like.
Mm-hmm. It was, I think, sellouts everywhere. Like,
Well,
Rob Van Dam was like... It looked like Rob Van Dam was, like, ginormously over, especially in Germany.
Oh, he was ginormously over
He was just
during the invasion.
I mean,
but...
It's Rob Van Dam. It's the whole damn shit.
But,
I mean, I would say it's the whole effing show.
But he didn't say that. But... We were then, you know, JR then mentions that we are getting that they chartered a private plane, and that is where we are introduced to...
I need to see something.
What? Tommy is currently looking up something. As he's looking that up, WWE chartered a plane out of the Phoenix area, which introduced us to the... Would you say the key interviewee of this episode, Tommy?
I think so. I would say, yeah. Like
this, the most important person that... Well, I don't... Her or JR?
I would easily say both.
Yeah. So we were introduced to Heidi. What's her last name?
I literally have...
Tommy's pulling up the video right now. Heidi Doyle, I think. I'm not positive though. Which is what sucks because Tommy's fact checking me right now to make sure that it's actually Heidi Doyle and not...
It is Heidi Doyle.
I got it right. Hey. Yay. Woo, too sweet, me brother. Anyway, Heidi Doyle was then introduced, which...
She is a former flight attendant.
Yes.
And she was one of the flight attendants that was actually willing to be interviewed. I think...
The only one.
Probably the only flight attendant that was going to be interviewed that was a flight attendant for the plane ride from hell.
So she mentioned that... I don't remember the name of the company that she worked for.
It was based out of Arizona.
Yeah, out of Phoenix. They did private charter flights for the Suns, the Coyotes, the Jazz, and the Mariners. Which I think I looked at you because we rewatched it here before we recorded the podcast. I looked at you and I said, why didn't they do it for the Cardinals or Diamondbacks? They're also right there in Arizona.
Because probably the NFL does like something different. Probably.
Okay, but what about the MLB? Because they're doing it for the Mariners.
Maybe the Diamondbacks. Maybe the Diamondbacks had some other different one contracted.
Could be, but we're introduced to her. She seems very nice.
She seemed like a very nice lady.
Yeah, she seemed very nice. We're introduced to her, and we go over to Europe. They do, like I said, Germany and Scotland, and then they do Insurrection in London. Tommy has the card for the show, and this was a show from
so you also gotta remember,
2002.
You also have to remember that there are certain other top stars. So, like, another person, like, people that were on this tour were Brock Lesnar, Eddie Guerrero, Rob Van Dam,
Stone Cold, Undertaker,
Triple H,
Big Show,
just like big names that
not all the big names that they
literally
had.
not all the big names, but like certain big names that and be like, hey, since you're not gonna go in the fall for Europe, you might as well just go in the spring,
Yeah, or however they're doing it.
That's probably how they do. That's probably how they do it.
But so Tommy, if you would like to give the full card for Insurrection with results and everything.
So we only had. So usually they always have certain dark matches during certain cards, especially over across the pond in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So our one dark match was Mr. Perfect beating Goldust in a singles match. There's no time available, since it was a dark match.
Yes.
So there's not a lot of footage of it, probably none at all. This was 2002, by the way.
And Mr. Perfect had just returned at the Royal Rumble this year, so
that year.
Yeah, that year,
if I'm not mistaken.
So he hadn't been in the company long. This is the same run that he's Perfect Plexed Big Show, by the way, on like just a normal episode of Raw.
Was it really?
Yeah, he just Perfect Plexed
Okay.
Big Show on just a normal episode of Raw. It was weird.
So the first televised match of the card was Rob Van Dam beating Eddie Guerrero via DQ for the IC title.
Which I've heard other reviews of the show before, and it's just basically a glorified house show.
It is. It's just a glorified house show. That's what a lot of Europe shows are. They're just kind of glorified house shows.
Yeah. But, it's fun, They don't care. It's pretty much the only time they get to see wrestling, so.
Yeah, that and they had to stay up, that it's on very early over there.
Yeah.
Very, very early.
Early or late? I don't remember which one it is.
Very early. I think, All Out was on at, 5 in the morning over there.
Oh, good Lord.
The next match was Jacqueline and Trish Stratus beating Jazz and Molly Holly.
I'm going to let you try that name one more time.
Jacqueline?
Nope. The most famous out of the four of them.
Trish Stratus?
Yeah, you did not say Stratus.
What did I say?
Stratus.
Did I say status?
Yeah.
I think I said status.
Yeah, you
Trish,
slurred.
Hold on. Jacqueline and Trish Stratus
There you go.
beating Jazz and Molly Holly in a women's tag team match.
So,
Hold on.
The sides of these results, there is time. So, me and Tommy, I looked at Tommy before the match happened, and I said, when he told me that match, I'm like, so it went 5 minutes. Tell me what was the official time of that match.
The official time of this match was 7 minutes and 43 seconds.
I was off by 2 minutes and 43 seconds.
So you also have to convert the math too. So 7 minutes during the early 2000s of the women's division was 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, because they still had Lita. They had really good performance at this time.
Right, but I'm saying
it wouldn't get as bad as it would.
Other than Lita and Trish Stratus and all that.
Molly Holly. Actually, all the women involved in this match.
But I'm saying certain ones. It's they probably have a 2-minute segment on Raw, and that's it.
I mean, because
it'd be
those four you mentioned there.
It'd be quick in and out.
So those four you mentioned there, they also had Victoria, and they had Lita at that time as well in that women's division.
But I don't think they actually went to that tour, on that European tour.
I don't know.
I'm not.
Steven Richards was there, so I would think that.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not going on a deep dive on that. Just throwing that out there.
No, we aren't going to. No, we're only doing one deep dive right now. We will do that.
The next match was X-Pac beating Bradshaw in a singles match that lasted 8 minutes and 49 seconds. So, by the way, during this match, we'll come back to it. There was some blood in this match. Bradshaw, I believe, did get busted open.
It didn't look like a lot, but it was there.
It's a key plot point in this review. Just throwing it out there. It's a key plot point in this review.
God damn it, Tony, are you back?
No.
All right.
Wait, what happened?
I don't know. Anyway, I think Tony's back. Anyway.
Either way, the next match was for the Hardcore Championship.
Ah, yes, the most prestigious of all the titles in WWE.
The older 24/7 title. I believe 24/7 rules did not come into effect during this match.
Yeah, well,
it was Booker T beating Steven Richards.
Steven Richards.
This match was at 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
So it was longer than the women's tag match. And it was a hardcore match.
Are you not surprised?
A little bit, because there was only one thing that got less time.
Brock, this is 2002.
No, so here's my thing. There was only one thing at this time. They were still having
Playboy Bunny matches at WrestleMania at this time. You laugh because you know I'm right.
Yeah, I do.
We'll also circle back to that. Actually, I'll just take the note now. So following the match, this is a little doozy. This is 24/7 rule. Now 24/7 rules are back in effect.
Yep.
So following that match with Booker T and all them, following the match, Crash Holly, who was not involved in the original match, pinned Booker T, who was later pinned by Crash to regain the title. Richards later pinned Booker to return the title to himself.
So
we had a title change in that one match, and then another outside of it, and then
a third
time, and then a fourth time. So there were 4 title changes in one segment.
So we had 4 title changes for this one title, and all we got was the same guy that went into the show still holding the title.
It's true.
So,
I'm not surprised.
No, not at all.
The next match is a doozy of a tag team. It's a men's tag team match. If you listen to this, you're going to be like, really? That was a tag team in 2002? We will say, yes, this was a tag team in 2002. It is not the Hardy Boys. I guess the Hardy Boys were on this tour. By the way, I want to see what their thoughts on this were.
Oh, my
I'm surprised
Lord.
they never asked them to get interviewed. I'm surprised they didn't ask Matt to get interviewed for this.
I mean, he was available. I don't know.
I would have liked to see what they would have thought about this.
He'd probably
I'm serious. Like, I'm dead serious. I'm very intrigued about that.
He'd probably been like, I don't know, man. I was kissing Lita. I don't care.
Shut up. Either way, it was the Hardy Boys against the tag team of Brock Lesnar and Shawn Stasiak. You might be thinking to yourself, that was a tag team in 2002? And our answer is, yes, that was actually a tag team in 2002.
For one night only.
I believe this was the night, if I'm not mistaken.
And Lesnar was in the match the whole time until Stasiak came in, and Stasiak took the fall.
So this was before, Brock's,
This is during his mega push.
This was kind of...
This was what, May?
This was in May.
He won the title at SummerSlam.
He won the title at SummerSlam, which was in, June.
August?
Or August or something like that.
Yeah,
Either way,
The Rock
this was about ready... he was, kind of in the middle of his giant,
push.
Mega push.
So...
They ended up losing.
Yeah, Stasiak takes the fall.
I forget
in that
Paul
match.
Heyman was there on ringside.
Shawn Stasiak takes the fall from one of the Hardy Boys.
So the next match is for the European title.
Whew, this one probably went over well.
I want to go back and watch this and see what they do. If they boo.
They do.
Oh, they do?
They do.
So Spike Dudley...
confirm.
So this match was... had Spike Dudley and William Regal. Spike Dudley ended up beating William Regal. This pay-per-view was in London, by the way. I know William Regal isn't from London.
He's from Blackpool, which isn't that far away.
Ball Games. Excuse me, what? Sorry, I had to get that out.
Ball Games. But yeah, they had an American beat...
They had an American beat a Brit
in London for the European Championship.
I don't know. This by the way...
Whoa.
Oh, by the way, that tag team match between the Hardy Boys and Brock Lesnar and Shawn Stasiak lasted 6 minutes and 42 seconds.
Is that the second shortest, or the shortest match on the show?
No.
No?
Because Spike Dudley and William Regal clocked in at a whopping 4 minutes and 56 seconds.
Ah.
The next match of the night was actually the longest one.
Which... I told you when we first saw this card, how the fuck...
So it was Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Tommy's favorite wrestler of all time,
against The Big Show.
Neither one of our favorite wrestlers of all time.
In a singles match with Ric Flair as special guest referee.
Again, key point later, Ric Flair was on this tour.
Key plot point in this review. Sorry, did you say something?
No, I didn't either. That was weird.
Must have been the wind.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Stone Cold ends up beating Big Show. The time for this match, before you say anything, clocked in at exactly, and I mean exactly, at 15 minutes.
So we may have to watch this show.
We might actually have to watch this show.
If for no other reason, I want to see the Spike Dudley William Regal match.
Dude, they had to get some nuclear hate on that. Just throw that.
And how the hell Stone Cold... Remember, this is Stone Cold, like, almost at the end of his career at this point.
So this was 2002 Stone Cold. This is the Stone Cold that did not want to put Lesnar over.
Which was later in the year. Because King of the Ring was in June.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So this is...
Or this month. So it's coming up. Either way. It's coming up in the next month. So this is 02 Stone Cold. He is
I'm
not
looking that up right now, by the way.
doing that well. Like, his neck's hurting. He's broken down. He's about to have his final match.
Yeah, it wasn't... Yeah, that was in June.
Yeah.
June 23rd, 2002.
Come at me. I remember my old school pay-per-views. Anyway. So you have old-ass Stone Cold who's just broken way the hell down.
I thought he retired. Didn't he retire?
In 03.
In 03. Yeah, he retired in 03.
So he's less than a year left in his career. And he's having to carry Big Show at his fattest. Big Show had been sent either just came back from OVW for being sent down there to lose weight.
I think this was before they sent him down to OV.
So this is him at his biggest. Because
this was the biggest show.
Yeah, this is when he is the largest, and I mean
take
tallest.
it now. If you look at him now, like he's slimmed down a lot.
Oh yeah,
but he's still pretty. I mean, it's fucking Big Show, bro.
But if you look at Big Show,
I'm sorry, he's the Giant. He's not with WWE anymore.
But if you look at him in like 02, 03, he just looks pathetic.
He's fucking Lardax.
Like you feel sorry for him.
He looked like I mean, it sucked to see him look like that, but he was like the living embodiment of Lardax.
Yeah. But Tommy, that wasn't the main. Oh, did you say who won? By the way, who won that match?
I said Stone Cold won.
Okay.
In exactly 15 minutes.
That wasn't the main event.
So the main event was Triple H versus The Undertaker.
Now, you may be sitting there wondering.
Granted, this is 2002. This is like kind of post-Attitude Era, about ready to go to the invasion angles and all that.
So Triple H was a face. Undertaker was heel American badass. Now, with these two names in the ring, this has to be a big title match, right? You know, this is a blow-off or something. Tommy, what was the time of this match?
Oh, excuse me, I got a yawn. Triple H beat The Undertaker. This match clocked in at a whopping 14 minutes and 31 seconds. The thing is, I believe this is before Is this before the Reign of Terror?
Yes, that happens later this year. But Tommy, like I said, this had to be for a title, right? You know, the Undisputed Championship.
No.
Non-title!
It's not a title match.
Now, I don't remember if at this time the title was still on Hogan or if Undertaker had taken it away from him at the pay-per-view in Kansas City.
Wow, that's surprising. There was only 9,308 people in attendance in Wembley Arena.
Because I really don't know. So here's the thing about the Undisputed title in 02. It's really weird.
Wait. That's right. Forget the pay-per-view before that was Backlash. And
so
that was here.
Yeah, that was when Taker won it. I remember there was a title change. I don't remember who won it though. I don't remember if it was Hogan winning it or Taker winning it. Because Backlash was at Kemper. You know, when Kemper was still Kemper. And a massive arena. And the only arena that we had here in Kansas City.
So Stone Cold, so the Undertaker, so in that Backlash, we're getting off topic, but we're just going to try to figure out what happened. The Undertaker beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. This match stipulation was singles match to determine the number one contender for the undisputed WWF Championship with Ric Flair as special guest referee. That was a 27-minute match. Excuse me?
What was the WWE Championship match on that show, though?
This is undisputed.
Yeah. What was its championship match on that show?
Hulk Hogan versus Triple H.
So Hogan won the title.
Correct.
Okay. All I remembered is that somebody won the title in Kansas City.
There was a match on Heat, though. Big Show beating Steven Richards and Just Incredible in the handicap match. 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Bro, we might have to watch Backlash 02. Anyway, back on topic with Dark Side of the Ring. So they get done with the show, and they're getting ready to fly.
Can I explain this part?
Yes, go ahead.
So after Insurrection is over, so this was their last part of the tour.
Yes, very much so.
This is their very last part of the tour. They're all hella excited that they finally get to go home. All of them are excited to get to go home. What's her name?
Who?
The flight attendants. Heidi.
Heidi Doyle.
Heidi was back on the job after having a daughter,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken. So she was excited to go back home. Hell, all the wrestlers were excited to go back home. That, and they also had TV that Monday.
In Hartford.
Which I feel like they always do that every time they go to Europe.
They do.
They have something relatively close to Titan Towers.
Well, no, they did a Seattle like a few years ago.
Yeah,
they came back and it was weird.
That was a weird one.
But anyway, so they were in, they had a Raw to do.
They had TV.
This is before the brand split too. There's no brand split yet. These are all on the same show.
Wait, I thought SmackDown was out already.
SmackDown was a show. So SmackDown debuted the day I was born in Kansas City, by the way. Hi. I'm forever linked to SmackDown and wrestling. But SmackDown didn't become its own show until 2000, or like its own brand until 2002. I don't remember the exact date of the draft, but I think it's coming up.
Me neither. Either way. So, after they get done...
In fact, I don't remember when it was.
We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Either way, so they board the plane, they all had that, and then, so out of nowhere, they get weather problems in Connecticut. So, like...
Tommy has flown international before, so
I've never flown international. Just throwing out there.
Okay.
I've flown national.
Okay.
Like, I've flown from states to states.
Cross country?
From, like...
Everywhere is cross country for us.
I mean, I've flown directly from, like, here to, like, Kansas City to New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's like a 2 hour... In Dallas.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hour and 30-minute flights, respectively, each,
yeah.
almost. But either way, I'm getting off topic. So, they board the plane and all that. And, they're it's the guys, the wrestlers,
It's the boys.
It's the boys. They're drinking and all that. So, they board the plane and everything. And they get a call saying that there is some weather problems in Connecticut. So, like I said, you would think, if you've flown here in the States, you would think with a weather delay, especially in places that usually sometimes are bad with weather, you would think it'd be just like, I don't know, a 20-minute delay. Maybe like 15, maybe 10, 15, 20-minute delay.
30 maybe.
Maybe 30 stretching it. Not this time in particularly. So this weather delay that caused it, I will say it, lasted 7 hours. I didn't know that.
I knew that there was a weather delay. I did not know that it was a 7-hour weather delay.
That's the thing too. I knew there was a weather delay that kind of sparked it.
I also didn't know the next part.
So during that 7 hours, the wrestlers proceed to go through when it first started, they go through one liquor cart. And these aren't like the cheap little shot bottles of alcohol. No. They're like
normal bottles.
Normal bottles you would see at any bar. Like shit, like shelf alcohol. Kinda.
Yeah, probably.
Like full, like...
It's a private jet.
It's a private bought plane. So it's for first class the entire flight. So, like, nothing cheap.
No.
Either way.
They were having their own meals cooked in the back.
Yeah.
They mentioned that. But, yeah.
So, the first delay, they go through an entire liquor cart. A second one was ordered. They go through it. A third one was ordered. They go through it. I think a fourth one was ordered. I don't know if they said it, but the way we counted it sounded like they went through 4 liquor carts.
They said 3 for sure.
But I feel like they went through 4.
I feel like So Justin Credible said something if Ric Flair threw couple thousand
couple
dollars.
$1,000, they would have gotten that card.
I feel like
that
Flair
did happen.
may have done that because it would not surprise me in the slightest.
This is Ric Flair we're talking about.
Yeah,
This is
it's not.
This is styling, profiling, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun.
Yeah,
Woo!
it's not. I don't know. We'll talk more about Flair here because Lord knows there's a lot to talk about with Flair and a lot to talk about with this.
With Tommy Dreamer, especially.
With a lot of people. But anyway, so
the way they said, they went through 3, possibly three for sure, and then possibly a 4th liquor cart.
they didn't say it, but it was implied that there was a fourth one.
It was implied that there was probably a 4th one by Justin Credible.
And Heidi Doyle said this was that she has never gone through a liquor cart,
Her entire like career.
let alone 3. Now, she is.
So these are like, this is like liquor we're talking about. This
Yeah,
isn't like
this
beer.
isn't-
This isn't beer.
This isn't,
Even though
your.
Cold, even though Stone Cold was on this flight.
Oh, he was shooting whiskey.
Tequila,
What?
bourbon,
What?
vodka,
What?
rum,
What? Gin? What?
beer. What?
Yeah. But, again, she's used to helping, like she said, the Mariners,
Like, they might
the
go through-
Suns, the Jazz, which, okay, those 3, probably not going to drink that much.
Might go
When
through-
she said the Coyotes?
They might go through a half liquor cart.
No, the Coyote.
Just a half. Just a half.
Oh, no, if the Coyotes, no. So here's the thing, Tommy, hockey players drink a lot.
No, but she said
Not as much as wrestlers,
right,
but
she said in particular that a whole liquor cart,
yeah.
like a whole liquor cart,
Yeah.
in a span of that 7 hours.
Yeah.
So they get
Well, they said the entire flight.
or the entire flight or
Yeah.
whatever. So either way, they finally get news that they can finally leave. By the way, hold on, before we get anything, my question is this. Why the fuck do they not go, like, they're sitting on the tarmac for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Why the hell did they not just say, go back to where they were loading all their stuff and be like, all right, guys, we're going to just, stay here until we know, what's happening, until we get the go-ahead. So we're just going to stay here.
Because this isn't
If you guys
commercial.
would like this is not commercial. This is a straight-up, private plane, first class and everything. You would think that they would go back to where they were starting to board and all that. You'd think they would get the stairway out and all that. Or I don't know how low this plane was sitting, but you think they would get a stairway out and be like...
They said they were taxied out there, so...
Yeah, they were taxied out. You think they would get taxied back to where they were loading and all that. Be like, yeah, you guys can... we're just going to have the stairs out there. If you guys want to get out, stretch your legs a little bit.
Go to the hotel bar, or the airport bar.
Wherever they were. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? With a delay like that, you think they would be like, yeah, you guys can get out of the plane and all that. And, just stretch your legs out, get some movement going and all that.
So it was also implied there were several names that obviously weren't on the, weren't on Insurrection or weren't mentioned were there. So you remember a few years ago when Saudi Arabia happened and they had just some guys in the States that didn't go? So there have been, is there a
Rock didn't go.
Yeah, Rock didn't go, Hogan didn't go.
Hogan did not go.
We didn't hear Rhino was there.
Jericho.
I don't think Jericho was...
Jericho was not there.
Well, he might have been. Because he faces Michaels at WrestleMania 19. So he could have been there. So Jericho...
In this one?
He was part of the company.
Right, I'm saying he's part of the company, not part of this tour, though.
Yeah. So, they're... And, you've probably got, I don't know. They didn't mention Farouk or Rikishi or Scotty 2 Hotty or anyone that.
They also had Kevin Nash on. They had Kevin Nash on this tour.
And anyway, they're could they not have if it really was going to be like that? They're like, hey,
we
got you a hotel.
I wouldn't go to that point.
They could have.
They could have.
Because they didn't. If it's like 2 hours in at that point, they're like, hey, We don't know how it's going to end. Here's a hotel. We got you all a hotel. Stay there. Don't worry about the show Monday because we got people.
But McMahon was on this tour, so he was probably thinking it's like...
Granted, they didn't have their color commentators, but, I mean... Because, Lawler and JR
were on this tour.
So...
I believe Michael Cole was not on this one?
So he probably would have been in the States, and Taz would have been too, so you could have had Cole and Taz call the show.
Yeah.
God, what a weird that would have been, though.
That would have been a SmackDown show then. That would have been a glorified SmackDown show.
I mean, Kane, they didn't mention Kane.
They did not mention Kane.
So, I mean, you could have had Kane and, RVD, or Kane and Hurricane, and...
Either way.
You could have had a decent show.
How do you not go back to where you guys were boarding and just sit there for a while? But then again, you guys didn't know. They could have been 2 hours in and said, okay, we're good to go.
I don't know, man.
But for 7 hours, what the fuck was there? A fucking hurricane going through there? Jesus Christ.
I have no idea. In May, could have been. Could have been a tropical storm.
No, it's not Atlantic hurricane season at that time. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
But all I'm saying is why don't they just go back to where they were loading, and then they can just get off, stretch their legs a little bit if they need to, get out, get some fresh air, and all that. Because you're in an airplane. It's
yeah. But,
so, either way, they finally get the go-ahead 7 hours after their delay. So
Mike Chioda.
Brock, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. What would you do in that situation?
Well, I've only flown once in my life. And it was to San Antonio. I was nervous just being on a plane in general. So
being stuck on one
there
for 7 hours.
And we both know that I'm claustrophobic.
It's a tight, pressurized air place of air. So
it probably would have been what Bruce Banner said on the original Avengers movie.
Oh, this is much worse.
Yeah. Oh, this is much worse. But Mike Chioda had a hell of a quote. Because, like we said, 7 hours. Mike Chioda said, the boys can get drunk in probably an hour.
I feel like that's an understatement.
Yeah.
I feel like they could get drunk in a half hour.
So, they were on that plane 7 hours just...
Drinking.
Drinking.
Drinking liquor.
Yeah.
Now, note, this was also during the time where before their substance abuse policy kicked in.
Yeah, that was brought on by Benoit, I do believe. Benoit or Guerrero, one of those two.
I think it was both of them.
Yeah.
It kind of kick-started with Guerrero, but then it, really, got...
Ramped up with
Benoit.
But, yeah, so they were just taking pills and drinking.
Just Incredible listed, in Mike Chioda, I think Mike Chioda, listed a bunch of ones, especially... which one was it?
Halcyon.
So it's also nicknamed H-Bomb. By the way, we're going to get into some touchy subjects. We're going to get into some very touchy subjects here.
Very sensitive subjects.
We're just giving you a heads up now. I'm just thinking about it right now.
Tommy's doing that, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I can do this because I've seen much worse in my life.
I feel like you have.
Well,
but for me, it's just
I've seen my neighbor get gunned down on a drive-by.
It's some very touchy. It's some very touchy.
I love how you move right past it.
It's some very touchy, uncomfortable. I know. I don't want to talk. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. That sounds like a completely another story for another time.
That's a great story for another time.
Off camera. That's definitely off
camera.
Off camera, off microphone, and all that.
Yep. That's 100%.
Either way, this is a lot of touchies. This is the meat of this review we're getting into. Just giving you a fair warning, there's going to be some very touchy stuff.
We will give you the major warning when we come up to it. The first few are just funny. Yeah, the first one in particular.
Should we circle back to Terry?
So I will do that. So the show, to give you a idea of where the business was at this time.
This is 2002.
Yes,
this was many years before. I know we're getting into political subjects, but this is way before the Me Too movement and all that.
Yes, and also speaking out which happened in the wrestling business, which implicated a lot of talents.
Especially with the one that came to mind was
Joey Ryan.
Moolah.
No, that was Speaking Out was something different. Speaking Out had like Ryan and Riddle and a few others.
No, okay, I know what you mean. Okay,
that one. But Brock Lesnar called Terry Reynolds into
almost I would say cat. I wouldn't say cat called.
Casually. No, he didn't.
Casual, just casually.
Because, like she said, she heard her name get called, so, you know.
So, granted, this is Terry Reynolds we're talking about. She was married to Goldust.
She had been.
She had been. I think this is the year they divorced, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they had been divorced for a bit.
They've been divorced for a year. So, this is just like when she got divorced, like after her divorce with
Dustin Rhodes. Lesnar calls Terry in. She comes into the locker room, and Lesnar just drops the towel.
And to be fair, if I'm not mistaken, there was a thing that said, like...
Lesnar was contacted, and...
Lesnar was contacted, and he had no recollection of this.
I thought he couldn't be reached.
Or he couldn't be reached.
Again, Tommy's going to bring up the video.
Bring it up right now.
Because, you know, that's just going to be our reference here. But either way, so that's where the business was at this time.
So she said to, if I'm not mistaken...
Dustin came in. Her ex-husband, Goldust, came in and said, don't sell it. Don't sell it at all. And she didn't. To her credit, she didn't. Because I don't know how you would react to that, Tommy. Just some guy just drops his pants right in front of you.
I don't know what the hell I would do, honestly. I'd give you an honest answer. I have no idea what the hell I would do.
As a former football player and in a wrestling locker room for high school and all that, that happened on a daily occurrence. I can remember our initiations, freshman year to the football team. It was, there's some stuff. Again, off camera, off microphone type conversation that, Tommy, if you want to hear it, I can tell you.
So when Brock Lesnar tried to, get Terry Reynolds, calls went, unturned. So she no-sold it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they asked her, and she's like, what do you mean by no-selling? It's like, just something like that. She just
ignored it.
Ignored it. Which...
Don't make sure it doesn't... Show that it doesn't register.
Yeah, show that it just doesn't register. Which, by the way, is just like... I don't know.
It takes a certain amount of mental fortitude that most people don't have.
To be fair, she was, during, that peak Attitude Era. WWE.
And she was brought up in the NWA because that's where Dustin was.
So she probably had to have seen a lot of stuff.
Plus, you have... Your father-in-law was Dusty Rhodes, so you pretty much knew the business a little bit.
So when Terry talks about this, it says calls to Brock Lesnar went unturned. And then it goes to JR basically saying he had heard complaints about Lesnar.
Yeah. Or he had
on the plane. He's heard complaints about Lesnar's things, but he never recalls getting a complaint about,
that
any advances.
Yeah.
On Terry.
Yeah, which I mean, Terry probably didn't go.
She probably didn't go, which she's just probably used to. Which is in this day and age, you're in this day and age, it's why the hell didn't you go?
Yeah.
I know I'm trying not to get a little too political, but in this day and age, why didn't you go? I'm just gonna leave it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar again.
Well, no, that wasn't the first incident. So, we had mentioned the H-bombs happening and Halcyon that they'd be taking. Mike Chioda says that's what they would take to sleep. And then Rob Van Dam... Oh, so this is your first, if you're uncomfortable with this, warning. Rob Van Dam starts talking about what wrestlers would do with the H-bombs.
And I think certain people would still do this, if I'm not mistaken.
I can say for certain I've seen it happen at college parties when me and Katie were still dating. And some dude did that to Katie's drink.
Listen to that.
Yeah. And I'll also say that the police cleared me of any wrongdoing.
Either way,
As
so
well.
so Halcyon is like I wouldn't say it's like a melatonin. It's more of like a sleeping.
Kinda. No, it's close. Look up what exactly what Halcyon is, because
It's more of like a. I'm not gonna look it up because it's more like a knock you out kind of drug.
yeah, date right drug.
It's,
But I flubbed that
you
horribly.
flubbed that.
Date R word drug.
Basically, Rob Van Dam said like
Rob Dam.
Rob Van Dam.
Man, we are both flubbing today.
Basically said, yeah, that's what they used all the time, and unfortunately, that's what certain people would use to make advances towards women easily. I'm not going to say it. You probably already know where it's going.
Yeah.
So they used it on the first person they did it on.
Well, the only one that we know for sure that they used it on
Was Michael Hayes.
Yeah. Which,
So
if you are unfamiliar with Michael Hayes.
So this is 2002. Michael Hayes was just
an
there.
agent. He was an agent,
He was just there.
pretty much. He was a producer.
He was an executive. He was in creative. He was just there.
He was there, and he's Michael Hayes. If you don't know about Michael Hayes,
Just go watch some shit on that. That's some crazy
lordy.
shit. Some crazy. That's a crazy Freebird right there.
Oh, all the Freebirds were crazy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, especially
But-
that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the only survivor left. I don't know. I don't know if Jimmy Jam's still alive, but he's the only notable Freebird still left alive. He gets H-bombed by.
I don't know who he just got H bombed.
Yeah, he got H-bombed. It's implied that X-Pac did it.
Not really. I
Well-
wouldn't say it was X-Pac that did it. It was certain wrestlers that did it.
Yeah.
So he was trying to find. So hold on. He was trying to find out who did it,
I don't think that was it.
or he was just out of it. And guess who he decides to punch?
Well, okay, so he stands up and he walks over, and they're just saying he walks over. They preface what happens next with the fact that a certain wrestler was busted open on the show.
This was a key plot point we talked about earlier in the podcast. Key
Um,
plot point.
he walks up to Bradshaw, hauls off on him, opens up the wound. Bradshaw's bleeding again.
So the wound is it is opened again. He had stitches, and the stitches I guess didn't work, so it's open. So he is bleeding again, he's got blood on his shirt, and then Bradshaw
Stands up.
literally stands up and slaps the fucking soul out of him and knocks him out.
Yeah. And
So later on,
Mike Chioda just goes, he just knocked out Michael Hayes. Holy
he
shit.
kind of just chuckling, he slapped
Yeah.
the shit out of Michael Hayes.
And it's just so that is story number 1 that happened that I had not heard before.
That was something I never heard about.
But you know what? Knowing Bradshaw,
Not surprised that it happened.
and like I said, when we did our favorite wrestlers of all time list, he was on my list.
I mean, to be fair,
That's one of the reasons why.
He was one of the heads of Wrestler Court, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, he
Let's
was.
see, he was him. The only two I can really
Him
think
and
of-
Taker.
Him and Taker really are just for Wrestler's Court.
Taker was a judge, and Bradshaw was usually the prosecutor, which sounds about right, honestly, for Bradshaw.
Sounds about. I thought sometimes he was defended though.
He had been at certain points. Anyway, back on track. So let's count them. That is incident number 1. Incident number 2 also involves Michael Hayes.
So it goes to Michael Hayes again, and then it goes to an interview from
Kayfabe commentaries.
Kayfabe Commentaries. Thank you, Brock.
I've watched the specific clip that it's from
So it's X-Pac.
50 times probably because it's hilarious.
So a lot of these, so then again, remember a lot of these, hell, probably fucking all the male talent was heavily intoxicated,
under the influence of something
under the influence of both alcohol
or pills.
and both, probably both, because he said they would just let them write prescriptions.
Yeah.
Unless they had a doctor's prescription, they could get whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, so Justin Credible said that, and that was
Like, whoa.
that was whoa moment number.
That was just a whoa moment in general.
Yeah, that was whoa moment number 1, because that was mentioned before the H-bombing stuff by RVD. That was whoa moment number 2.
It was like 2 whoa moments. Like, whoa.
Not only that, but they were back to back.
So either way, Michael Hayes is just knocked out.
Well,
he's out.
Literally knocked out because Bradshaw just slapped him to knock him out. So Michael Hayes is out. Tommy, enter Shyster number 3.
So what happens here is that it goes to the kayfabe commentary interview with X-Pac.
X-Pac!
So he's like, I remember, Michael, he says, like, I remember Michael, like, burying me in the creative. And he didn't, like, take offense to that. He took quite the offense to that.
Oh, I'd say so, considering what he does next.
So he ends up going to
a
knocked out, sleeping Michael Hayes. Now, if there's one thing, like, you don't mess with, it's the Freebird's hair.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He has a pair of scissors. Everyone was cheering for him. Shoop! Takes off the ponytail. Like, clean off. And, like, they popped. And like Mike Chioda said, they popped like he won a title.
Yeah. So, that was incident number 2. Incident number 3 involves another legendary Ripper, Tommy. One, Mr. Perfect, and probably the most famous story from the plane ride from hell.
So, hold on. Before we get into this, everyone thought the story between Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, and Brock Lesnar was they were doing an amateur wrestling match, like to see who was the better amateur wrestler. Either way, so that's what everyone thought how the story went. I knew that going into that. I thought they were just doing a wrestling thing. I didn't know. So when it goes to the Curt Hennig stuff, Curt Hennig is always known as a legendary, if not the greatest ribber of all time in the locker room.
It's between him and Owen Hart.
It's between both of them.
Yeah.
So either
also
way,
Mr. Fuji, who legendarily paid a guy to take out a guy's engine from his car.
I've heard about that. That's some crazy shit.
And it's just like, yo, Fuji.
Either way, we're getting off topic. Yeah. Then again, Brock was still fairly new to the company. Like WWE. He was in OVW.
He debuted this year.
This was the year he debuted. This was like post OVW where he was just
tag team guy.
He was just a tag team guy.
In the Minnesota Stretching Crew. The best name that was never used.
So either way, he's asleep, and it was implied that you gotta keep a hat on
and sunglasses.
Keep some sunglasses on because you never know when they're gonna shave an eyebrow off or cut your hair or shave your hair or do something. So like if they move your glasses or move your hat, you have a chance to wake up or kick out, as Mike Chioda said.
It's accurate.
It's accurate. So either way, Curt has a thing of whipped cream or shaving cream. Sorry, why did I say whipped cream?
I don't know. That'd have been delicious.
So either way, he has a thing of shaving cream, and he has the thing of shaving cream. He's putting on Lesnar, and then slaps him on the head,
and he awakens the beast.
So remember, this is Brock Lesnar we're talking about. This man could is Suplex City, bitch.
He has suplexed a shark before.
He F5'd a shark. He didn't suplex
a shark. That's my bad. He F5'd a shark.
He F5'd a shark. So either way, this is when he was full-time, by the way, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Brock Lesnar being a full-time wrestler? What? So either way, Lesnar gets up, and Curt is running away. Either does he know.
Not running.
They're full on
sprinting.
They are full on sprinting throughout this entire airplane. And then Kurt is still sprinting, and then Lesnar out of nowhere just wham, just catches him, and they start like play fighting. As what was it? JR called it.
JR said
JR called it.
Fighting.
So take note, they're both 6'4", which I had no idea Kurt was 6'4".
Yeah,
like the way he like. I guess you could say he is the perfect build. Get it? Get it? It's perfect. Oh.
Boo! You suck.
Get better material.
Get wrecked, pleb.
Either way, they start play fighting, as JR calls it. So they're, like I said, they're both 6'4". I knew Brock Lesnar was that tall. I didn't know.
I thought Lesnar was a little bit taller.
I thought he was. I don't know. Maybe.
I thought maybe 6'5".
Yeah. Either way, I didn't realize that they got to a fuselage. Like they broke a chair.
No, they broke an entire row.
So they broke an entire row of seats, some overhead bins, a table, and then they were in the fuselage.
Like true wrestlers, they went through a table.
Hold on. So, and then there was a wrestler over the PA system saying, like, we're all gonna die and shit like that. So, like, the pilots came out and tried to calm it down. I don't think they couldn't do anything because these are two giant athletes.
Yeah, Lesnar has always been jacked.
So then they are play fighting in the emergency exit. Was it Perfect they got?
Perfect got slammed by Lesnar.
Perfect got slammed by Lesnar right next to that emergency door.
On the emergency door.
Or actually, hold on, take it back. On the emergency door. Brock, I'm gonna say this. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a mechanical engineer, but I know if they had enough force to open that door.
Now, Heidi Doyle did say it is impossible to open that door, but they didn't know that.
Right, but when they got to that door and then they kind of nudged it, literally everyone in that thing broke it up. They went
yeah.
If you I've been on planes before. I don't want that shit happening.
No.
And I don't think anyone on that plane didn't want that happening. They didn't want to test that shit at all.
Now, she did say if they damaged the fuselage and depressurized the cabin, they would have had to make an emergency landing.
In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Now, granted, there are some islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Right, it's the middle of the Atlantic. It's the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
The Atlantic fucking Ocean.
It's not the Pacific where there's a bunch of islands.
Where the hell are you gonna land? Where? Tell me where. Exactly.
See, I had told you this before. I don't know where they would have landed.
They wouldn't have. They'd be sinking in... That ship would probably be in the middle of the Atlantic right now. If that actually happened.
Oh my god, that means Shane would have been in control of the company right now.
Yeah. And Stephanie.
Yeah, but her husband would have been... Whew.
Either way, okay, that's a little touchy subject right there.
Anyway.
I'm no mechanical engineer, but, like, that would have been like a holy shit moment.
Yeah. Did you ever hear about the story about Mad Dog Vachon on the private plane?
No, I never heard of that.
Okay,
Did he open a door like that?
So Mad Dog Vachon was on something, conflicting reports from... So there was like 5 or 6 guys on this plane for the AWA back in the late 70s, early 90s, or early 80s. So they're flying back from a show. Mad Dog is not in this universe right now. He's not in this dimension.
He's on some shit?
Yeah. He opens up the back hatch, the emergency exit door, and is leaning out, holding onto the chain in the door, and says, "It's so peaceful, I feel like flying today." This man wanted to jump out of the plane and just dive. and just go. Like, it was insane. Anyway, that's the Mad Dog Vachon story about the plane.
So also another plane. So like remember how like earlier in July, where I had to take a flight through Chicago because the plane from Atlanta was experiencing engine problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I literally told the the people at the desk, I'm like, I know I'm no mechanical engineer, but when you say engine problems, I'll be like, say less. I ain't going on that damn plane.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I wanted to say, I'm like, I don't feel like seeing Jesus today, if you know what I mean.
Anyway, that was incident number 3 on the plane ride from hell was Lesnar, Mr. Perfect. We get to incident 4, which might be my favorite just because it's the most, like, innocent out of all of them.
And it's kind of...
It's the saddest.
It's the most innocent / like, kind of the saddest, like, thing that kind of happened.
So...
I'll let you explain it.
Yes.
I'll just sit back and relax and let you explain it.
Yes. So, everyone is asleep. And this is Terry Reynolds who's relaying the story. They hear singing over the intercom. And it's a David Allan Coe song.
What was the name of the David Allan Coe song?
It's on my phone. Hang on. Sorry, people on YouTube. I'm using my phone right now. I can tell you real quick. Pledging My Love.
Pledging My Love.
Pledging My Love. And it's Goldust singing it. To Terry, who they had been divorced. Terry is obviously very upset about this and wants him to stop. Paul Heyman looks over at her and says, "Don't sell it. Don't do anything." So, JR gets up and tells him
But hold on, but you would think... I don't think it was Paul Heyman. It said Paul E.
Well, that's...
Not the name Paulie, like Paul...
No, that's Paul Heyman.
Oh.
Because he was Paul E. Dangerously.
Oh,
in
that's
WCW and everywhere else before WWF.
But either way, like, you would think, take the fucking take the intercom away from him. Like, you're right there. Grab it out of his hands and we would be fine.
But anyway, good old JR has to go up and says, Justin, you sorry sack of shit. You can't carry a tune in a bucket. Sit your ass down and go to sleep. So, yeah. JR just...
He said it doesn't could sing. If it doesn't could sing, it would have made it a lot easier. But he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. Which I'm like...
buries his singing ability.
That's a fucking JR quote there, too, by the way.
Well, and again, you're not from the South, so you don't hear that expression a lot. We do. Hi, Southerner here, even though I'm from Missouri, but, redneck Missouri, so that's the South. Anyway, that was my favorite one because that's literally just Dustin had his heart. He was hurting.
It was sad. It was honestly just like, this is kind of sad.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. But,
that was not the right at that time, especially this plane ride. It's not the right thing to do because he woke up. Because he woke him up. He woke them all up.
And that led to incident number 5. And if you...
we will give you the heads up here. If you do not I would say... Now this is some very touchy subject.
Oh, poor choice of words there, bud. Very poor choice of words there.
We will give you the warning that this is some very vile and inappropriate behavior. Yeah, is that the right word? Inappropriate behavior.
This one in incident number 6 as well.
What was incident 6?
That was Scott Hall.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That was more weird. It wasn't on the level about the one we're going to talk about right now.
But I will let Tommy handle this because...
So, as we said before in this review, Ric Flair, you also got to help me with this.
I will explain the happy part. You can explain the serious stuff.
Why do I got to explain the serious stuff? I'll let you explain this.
Because I can't. I'm a Ric Flair mark.
This is true.
It'll pain me to say it.
So either way,
Happy Flair stuff I can do.
So either way, Flair sometimes on long flights like this.
I got this. Flair on long flights to Pop the Boys has done it multiple times before. Will put on his robe, nothing underneath, strut out, do the Ric Flair strut all the way out to where they all can see him. He'll grab each side of the robe and go, woo!
He'll just probably just go, woo! And just open the robe.
And it's revealed, there's his Digger Balls! And then, as Tommy Dreamer said, wiggle his hips to make a circular motion to make
a helicopter.
To make the helicopter go. And I've told you this. I like to envision him while he's doing it. Is just going, woo!
Exactly. That's what I think too. I'm like, he's probably just wooing the entire damn time.
100%. And he's probably also strutting the entire time.
He's doing the strut.
As it's called, the Fargo strut, because that's Jackie Fargo's the one that initiated it, and I also do the Fargo strut. But anyway, I just imagine him doing that the whole time. And the boys are going, ah! Because
they're popping.
Because for whatever reason, they love seeing a naked old man. Woo! Yeah!
Apparently, he said he's got a hammer on him, too.
Apparently, according to Tommy Dreamer, apparently Ric Flair is well endowed.
It's packing.
Yeah. That created Charlotte.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Tommy, please explain the...
I don't think I can after what the hell you just said. The fuck? That's disgusting. Disgusting!
Disgusting!
I gotta get up. The thing's killing my back.
Tommy, please explain what happened next, because...
Ooh, how do I explain this without getting very...
Ooh. Yeah.
God, I feel like I'm stepping right into a minefield. I am literally stepping on a minefield.
Heidi Doyle was in the back.
So they have this part in the plane called, was it the gully?
Yes,
If I'm not mistaken.
I do believe that's what it's called.
So it's called the gully, where they'll get the wrestlers' drinks, breakfast, their food, the breakfast, their lunch, their dinner, whatever time it is.
That is what food is. Thank you for explaining food.
Shut up. I'm stepping onto a minefield, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Any one wrong word, and it's gonna be I'm fucked.
Yeah. Whoa, again, very poor choice of words.
No, that didn't happen.
Well.
So either way,
Heidi
Doyle is back there in the gully getting drinks or something. Getting something for one of the wrestlers.
Doing something back there.
Doing something back there.
Probably hiding. I wouldn't blame her.
I can't blame her. So she then turns around and sees one Nature Boy in his
Birthday
cape,
suit.
as she called a cape, as she called it a cape, which I kind of had to chuckle at that because, he had his cape, as Heidi would say it.
His robe.
It was basically his robe, and nothing else.
I have a question for you. What robe do you think he was wearing for that?
What year was it? 2002?
Yeah.
Probably that orange one.
The orange and gold one?
The orange and gold one, the one he had with Evolution.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It's just because he sold all of his robes, so it's which one was it and who owns that robe?
It's probably the orange and gold one. That was the one he wore kind of the most during...
He had a whole bunch of them. Anyway, off topic.
That's probably the one I possibly could think of. That's the one I think of.
I don't know. They were showing a purple one. It could have been,
They were showing, it could have been that one. Who knows?
But anyway, it's just that just popped in my head. It's someone owns this robe and they don't know that, or they might know that Ric Flair did something
with this. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He went
anyway.
spread eagle. Let's put it that way. He just did spread eagle.
Jesus.
He just went woo and all that.
Okay, listen, this is a serious part of it. Don't.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oops.
Yeah, so our normal jokes now are pretty much going out the window for
Yeah, I'm
this
trying-
one and number 2.
I'm trying to tread
number
lightly.
6.
I'm trying to tread lightly on this minefield that I'm about ready to go
Because
to.
Lord knows Tommy Dreamer didn't.
So here I go, trying to explain this the best way I can without offending, making it sound wrong.
Like you're agreeing with it.
Yeah, I'm not. Before I say
We here at B Card Entertainment disavow the actions of Ric Flair and of Scott Hall.
God, I can't believe I'm about ready to say this shit.
Yeah, it's...
So, they're in the gully,
Yeah.
as Heidi says it. She turns around, she sees Ric Flair, just cape/robe and all.
Yep. And nothing else.
That's it. There's nothing else. He does not have any
And everything is
underwear
showing.
on, and that's it.
Everything is showing he has the robe open.
I thought he had... Yeah, oh yeah, he did have the robe open.
Yeah.
So, Flair keeps going back. Now, granted, she said this is a very enclosed space. Right? Is that what she
Yeah.
said?
She said it's barely room for one person.
Like, you could yeah, exactly. You could probably only fit one person, that's about it. So, Flair goes over there and starts doing, the helicopter. She's undeterred,
Justifiably uncomfortable.
as she should.
Yes. Very much so.
Okay, now here's the part where, I'm really deep in it. In the minefield. Flair ends up making an advancement on Heidi where he grabs one of Heidi's hands and tries to make an advancement. You could honestly see where, since he is unclothed. That's all I'm going to say.
Did we ever hear that she actually touched?
There was probably a struggle, but probably no.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
Thankfully, Dustin Rhodes came to Heidi's rescue.
Thankfully.
Yes,
Thank
thankfully.
God. That could have been a lot worse than we thought. It could.
And stopped Flair from doing it. However, the hits didn't stop coming on this one.
However, this wasn't the last time something I wouldn't say to this extent happened to her.
She still got grabbed.
So this is later on in the flight. They're about ready to, I think they just got back,
They hadn't yet.
I don't think they were about ready to.
Yeah.
So they were about ready to get back, stateside on the Atlantic stateside. And then, so we've all if you're a wrestling fan, you've seen Scott Hall's many, and I mean many problems with
Drugs and alcohol
throughout the years. To the point where it's we know he has he had a problem.
Yes.
Thankfully, he's gotten cleaned up on it.
Yes. Thank you, DDP.
Yes, thank you, DDP.
Um,
So, Hall was, I believe, passed out.
he had just woken up.
Kind of.
Well,
He woke up for this moment instance, which I find very weird.
yeah.
So, in a pre-taped interview, I don't know what interview it was.
Kayfabe commentaries again.
Was it kayfabe commentary?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
was
where
it?
this one was from. Because
So-
I recognize the audio.
So, Hall said he believed that Kurt Hennig H-bombed him because he has no recollection of this plane ride ever happening.
Or this incident.
This incident is alone happening at all. He said he has no idea this happened. So what he does is grabs Heidi
By the shirt.
by the shirt. He rips a couple buttons off and says, what do you say?
There were several things that she didn't say. I could only imagine
The one that stood out
The one that she did say.
was that he said to Heidi, like, I'm gonna lick you, or something like that.
Which is just weird.
Which is just, yeah, it's just weird and it's wrong.
Yeah. Because I don't think anyone likes another human licking them.
Yeah.
Especially when that person is incredibly under the influence of...
Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. And I can only imagine how Scott Hall smells.
Like both.
Or worse. I wouldn't have been surprised if he may have used the bathroom on himself.
Oh, who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah, so Heidi gets away again.
So as she gets, so he fades out again, and then she just doesn't leave the bag.
Which
I could see understandably why.
Yeah.
Of course, the wrestlers weren't happy about that
because they weren't getting any more alcohol or food.
Either way, it's just like, what the fuck? I feel like we successfully survived this minefield.
Someone who didn't was Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, so how the hell do I explain that? How the hell do we explain this?
I don't know. For his I don't know.
So if you're a wrestling fan, it was well also documented that Tommy Dreamer was indefinitely suspended by Impact for comments about said incident
with Flair.
More predominant. I mean, technically both. Technically.
And the second one, I don't know if that one played as much of an impact.
No, but the first one, the comments about Flair, I'm not going to repeat them.
No.
There's no point in repeating both of them.
No.
Either way, it sounded like he came into the defense of Flair. Basically saying it was a joke. I know Ric Flair. He's never done that before.
He said he's never made advances on women, and
I find that highly untrue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's whew.
I find that very highly false.
Are you looking up the clip?
No, I'm not looking up the clip. I'm not even gonna ugh.
Yeah.
So done.
But
this. Just like how Heidi was.
Yeah. They get to the States. They get off the plane and they go to Raw the next night. That night.
So, but hold on. We got to talk about when they landed.
I was going to circle back to what the plane looked like.
Let's start. So let's start this. Let's start when they land.
Mm-hmm.
So when they land, Heidi is glad that they're back stateside, which I could completely understand why.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
So Hall is still passed out at this point. So, just Incredible had to get him in, a wheelchair? What's a wheelchair?
A wheelchair.
Put his sunglasses on and all that, got his documents.
Back to the funny stuff now, because...
So, I wouldn't say this is funny stuff.
No, I found it humorous.
I found it very humorous that this happened. So, Just Incredible got Hall in the wheelchair, gave him all of the documents for the
passport and everything.
And then JR, like he said, JR with the black hat looked pissed, and he's like, "What do you want me to do? He's like, why are you looking at me like that?" It's like, I'm here. Like, I'm the one that's doing this. I'm the one that's helping him out. And all that. And so, but back on the plane, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So on commercial flights, so like Southwest and all that, they come through the aisle 2 or 3 times during the flight.
I had them come through 4 or 5 on mine.
Maybe 4, yeah, maybe a 4th or a 5th time. With a trash bag to get rid of all the trash.
Mm-hmm.
On this occasion, no. Did not.
They didn't come at all.
Like, at all. So, I think Heidi said that there was, food stepped on.
Vomit.
Blood. like vomit,
blood, syringes.
syringes, and her instinct, which was the correct instinct, said, "We're not cleaning this flight,"
Yeah.
which was the right thing to do. But her supervisor said, "No, you're cleaning this flight."
And Heidi just walked off the plane.
Yeah, and she just walked off, which was the right thing to do in this instance.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. And Heidi then gets back home.
No, she gets back to her hotel, takes a shower,
Yep.
and cries. Which, respectively so. She just went through she just literally, as much as this doesn't sound like a joke, it shouldn't. She literally went through, like, her
Hell.
own hell. Like,
She went through hell.
she went through hell. And then when she said it to the people, like, the flight attendants in the front, they're like,
So
Oh my
that is
God.
an interesting distinction that we haven't made yet. So the front of the plane was like all the executives and Terry Reynolds for whatever reason.
probably
And all the
Probably
managers.
probably also the female talent.
More than likely. We're up at the front with like Vince McMahon and the agents and JR. So there was nothing happening in the front that we know of. So the people that were the flight attendants in the front didn't know what was happening in the back. And when Heidi told them, they didn't quite believe her at all, which, I mean, given the story of the plane ride from hell, I don't completely blame them at all, because it is kind of unbelievable. It's an unbelievable story. And yeah, it's just
crazy. So, again, they had TV that Monday.
that day.
Or technically that, I guess that day. It's a
Mm-hmm.
time zone change or whatever.
Yeah.
So, McMahon, being the boss he is, I mean, he's the one that, writes the checks.
As JR said.
As JR, writes the checks, JR says, or as any other person would say.
Yeah.
Right? So he has final say on who he hires and who he fires.
Yep.
In this instance, he was told to fire Scott Hall, which was for a completely different reason.
I think it was amplified by this.
No,
Plane ride.
The plane ride amplified that he wasn't ready for the road again.
Yeah.
He wasn't. And then Kurt Hennig, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Was it Kurt Hennig?
Yeah,
For his
Mr.
actions,
Perfect.
With his actions, unfortunately, about a year later, he would
He would die.
pass across the pearly gates.
Yep.
Or the pearly ropes.
Yeah.
Or whatever you would say.
Going up to that great battle royal in the sky. But yeah, so they were fired. Dustin, for what he did.
Dustin was fined,
Yes.
but the one outlier was
Well, I mean, nothing happened to Michael Hayes or X-Pac or Brock Lesnar, but the
nothing
one
could
that...
happen to Brock Lesnar because he was getting a push at that time.
And he technically wasn't in the wrong.
He would, yes,
Because Kurt...
but there was also people talking about the stuff with Terry, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about that again.
Yeah,
I
was...
don't want to talk about that again.
Yeah. But you may have noticed there was one name that we didn't mention at all for the suspensions that had a major part of the goings-on a Plane Ride from Hell.
There's one.
And that is one man that I've met and shook his hand and have a picture of,
Yeah.
and that is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And when,
JR did say it best. He is a made man. So that's all I'm gonna say
yeah,
about it. I don't want. I don't want to. I just don't want to get into it.
no, Tommy's obviously seeing my face right now.
He's depressed.
Yeah. They say never meet your heroes. Well, I've met mine. One of mine. The other one died before I could meet him. Dusty died before I could meet him. Angle's still alive and Randy Orton's still alive. So I've met one of my top 4. I can't meet number 1. I still have a chance at 2 and 3.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah.
Either way, all in all, it was a good doc.
The fallout from so let's go ahead and say that. It was a great good
documentary.
Yep. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Well,
it was a good refresher on what you knew, and then it told you stuff that you didn't actually know.
Yes. And it's not an easy one to...
This is not an easy one to talk about.
Next week's
might...
I don't think that one's going to be any easier, bud, if you know anything about Canyon. So next week is Chris Canyon. Yeah.
That's going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how they go with this, because Canyon has an interesting story.
Canyon, that's all. So here's the thing about the Chris Canyon thing. I know before he died, what did he do? He came out of the closet?
Yeah, he came out as gay.
Before he passed.
Yep. He also had several substance abuse issues and some other issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
That
will probably be talked about during that interview.
Oh,
during the interviews.
100% will be.
Although it's weird to see the Young Bucks talk about this, because they did. Did you not see the teaser about it? Yeah, the Young Bucks are going to be talking about Chris Canyon, which is just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, next week's will be interesting.
Hell, the rest of them will be very interesting.
Oh, yes, but this first one was definitely
as much as I know we're going to get to lighter subjects, like the ones like the exploding barbed wire matches is gonna be. I feel like that's
FMW.
I feel like that's gonna be like on par with like them going to like the collision in Korea, like North Korea.
I mean, we get Terry Funk talking, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I know. We get Terry Funk talking.
We get Terry Funk,
dude,
and Mick Foley.
Dude, I'm gonna laugh my ass off if Terry Funk's just Terry Funk in this interview.
Corny. I looked over and he was whacking off the dog. You haven't heard that story. You know who was whacking off the dog?
Who?
Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh my god.
The actor. But yeah, next week could be good. I think this is probably about
That's it.
best. Yeah.
That's
I mean, we were gonna do predictions, but
I feel like we shouldn't.
Yeah, I feel like we should save them for
next time.
For Sunday when we do the live stream.
Yeah, I feel like we should wait for Sunday because there's
full card hasn't been released yet.
Yeah, because there's only certain like title matches that they've announced, not the entire card. So,
we will. So on the next episode, we will review AEW Grand Slam.
Both shows.
Yep.
Both 2-hour Dynamite and
yep.
Rampage.
Yep. We will review Dark Side of the Ring, Chris Canyon.
I feel like that should be a separate episode.
It might. I don't know. We'll see.
Depending on what on what they talk about.
Like, for this one kind of had to be
a separate episode.
Yeah. But yeah, this... I don't know. We'll see with Canyon. Maybe there's, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, we definitely have a lot next week, because we also found out Monday that we are getting New Day versus
the Bloodline.
Yeah,
Roman and the Usos.
Yeah, on Monday Night Raw.
In my honest opinion, I feel like they should wait to Survivor Series to do that. But hey, that's just me.
That's just hot shot booking, baby. That's all it is. Will you be watching Monday?
I have to work Monday. I'll probably watch it when I get back.
I'll
watch bits and pieces. I'm not watching the entire 3 hours.
Oh,
of Raw.
God, no. I will just wait until...
You would have to shoot me to do that.
Yeah. I like wrestling enough to talk about it, but for a 3-hour Raw, I am not entertained.
I'm not going to be entertained. It's 3 hours of Raw.
Yeah.
They should just go back down to 2 like they always did it.
I've been Brock Orton,
I'm Tommy Haley.
and when it comes to WWE and Monday Night Raw, we are not entertained.